Imagine standing in front of a mirror every morning, looking at the person staring back at you, and realizing that the only thing standing between where you are right now and where you want to be is not talent, not luck, not resources. It's discipline. That thought should shake you, because it means no one is holding you back but you. Most people hear the word discipline and immediately associate it with restriction, with pain, with sacrifice. But the truth is, discipline is not the chains that lock you down. It's the foundation that sets you free. Without discipline, your goals, your dreams, your visions remain nothing but conversations in your head. And I don't care how big or powerful your dreams are, if they don't have discipline to anchor them, they will drift away. See, we live in a world where motivation comes and goes. You can watch a video, read a quote, or hear someone say something that fires you up, and in that moment, you feel unstoppable. But here's the catch: motivation is a spark, not a fire. Discipline is the wood that keeps the flame burning when everything around you goes cold. That's why so many people fail. They rely on feelings. They wait until they feel like it to do the work. They wait until conditions are perfect, until they're inspired, until they're comfortable. But success doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It demands action. And discipline is what moves you when motivation has disappeared. Think about the greatest athletes, the most successful entrepreneurs, the people who build legacies that last for generations. They're not always motivated. Do you think they wake up every single day with fireworks in their hearts, eager to push through pain, rejection, and obstacles? No, they wake up disciplined. They wake up knowing that whether they feel like it or not, they've made a commitment to themselves, and that commitment demands they act. Discipline is not about perfection, it's about persistence. It's about showing up again and again. No matter how you feel, no matter how heavy life feels, no matter how tempting it is to stop. And here's the powerful part: discipline is not just about what you do. It's about who you become. Every choice to stay disciplined rewires your identity. You stop being someone who makes excuses and start becoming someone who takes ownership. You stop saying, "I'll try," and start saying, "I will." You stop living as a prisoner of your moods, and you start living as a master of your life. That's why discipline is freedom. Because the moment you stop being controlled by your emotions, your procrastination, your fears, you break the chains that hold most people down. But let me be real with you. Discipline is not easy. It's not glamorous. It's often lonely. It's often uncomfortable. And sometimes it feels thankless. You'll get up earlier than everyone else. You'll stay later when everyone else has quit. You'll do the reps, make the calls, take the risks, even when no one is watching. And in those moments, your mind will scream for comfort. It will beg you to quit. That's where discipline steps. Discipline says, "I don't care how you feel, I care about what you committed to." That inner voice is the difference between winners and everyone else. The foundation of success is not built in the big moments. It's built in the quiet, ordinary, repetitive moments. the ones that no one applauds you for. It's in the early morning runs, the late night study sessions, the hours of practice when your body aches, the extra calls when you're tired of hearing no. These are the bricks that build the foundation of success. The world might not notice when you lay those bricks, but one day they will see the house you've built, and that house will stand strong because discipline is the cement holding it together. So let me ask you, how many times have you started something and quit halfway because it got hard? How many times have you promised yourself you'd change, only to fall back into old patterns because it was easier to stay comfortable? That's not because you weren't capable. That's not because you weren't good enough. It's because discipline was missing. And until you decide that discipline matters more than comfort, you will keep circling back to the same spot, frustrated and unfulfilled. The beautiful thing about discipline is it doesn't care who you are right now. It doesn't care about your past failures, your mistakes, or your weaknesses. Discipline is available to everyone. You don't have to be the smartest, the strongest, or the fastest. You just have to decide that you're going to show up no matter what. The person who is disciplined will always outlast the person who relies on talent alone. Talent can get you started, but discipline keeps you going when talent is not enough. And the more disciplined you become, the more freedom you gain. Freedom to wake up without regret. Freedom to trust yourself, because you know you'll follow through. Freedom to look at your life and say, I built this. That's the reward. That's the power. You're no longer at the mercy of chance or circumstance. You're in control because you built your foundation brick by brick, choice by choice, day by day. So when you walk out of here, I want you to remember this: your future doesn't belong to the person who has the most motivation. It doesn't belong to the person who has the most talent. It belongs to the one who has the most discipline. Because discipline builds the foundation. And without a foundation, nothing stands. Discipline is freedom. Let me stop you right here and ask you something that most people never pause to think about. Are you really free? I'm not talking about whether you can go where you want, eat what you want, or scroll on your phone whenever you feel like it. I'm asking you if you're truly free inside. Because here's the truth: most people aren't free. They're prisoners of their habits, their excuses, their lack of consistency. They confuse freedom with comfort. They think freedom is doing whatever feels good in the moment. But what they don't realize is that comfort chains them to mediocrity. Real freedom doesn't come from giving in to every impulse. It comes from mastering yourself, from building the consistency that puts you in control of your life. See, anyone can choose the easy road. Anyone can hit snooze instead of waking up early, skip the workout, procrastinate on the project, or give in to distraction. That's what feels good right now. But the problem with chasing comfort is it always leaves you paying a price later. That snooze button feels good today, but it steals your energy and momentum tomorrow. That skipped workout feels like relief now, but it robs you of strength and health down the road. Every time you pick comfort over consistency, you're trading long-term freedom for short-term pleasure. And that's the trap most people live in without even realizing it. Freedom is not about avoiding hard things. Freedom is about having the discipline to do them until they become part of who you are. Consistency is the key, because it's not what you do once in a while that changes your life. It's what you do every single day, even when you don't feel like it. If you want to be free, financially free, physically free, emotionally free, it won't come from one big decision. It comes from the hundreds of small, consistent choices you make when no one is watching. Let me put it this way. If you only work hard when you're motivated, you'll never get anywhere. Because motivation is inconsistent by nature. But if you can train yourself to be consistent when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you don't feel like it, that's where the magic happens. That's when freedom shows up. Because now, you're no longer controlled by your feelings. You're controlled by your decisions. That's real power. I want you to picture this: a person who goes to the gym one time and expects results, or someone who eats healthy for a week and wonders why they don't feel transformed. It sounds ridiculous, right? Yet that's exactly how most people treat their goals. They want freedom without consistency. But the body, the business, the life you dream of, it doesn't respond to occasional effort. It responds to relentless repetition. Freedom is not about doing whatever you want, whenever you want. It's about building the consistency that allows you to live the way you were meant to live without being held hostage by weakness. Now, let's be honest. Consistency is boring. It's not exciting. It's not flashy. It's showing up again and again, doing the work when the results aren't visible yet. It's like planting seeds in the ground. You water them every day, but for a long time, it looks like nothing is happening. People around you might laugh, they might doubt, they might say you're wasting your time. But then, one day, those seeds break through the soil, and everything changes. That's what consistency does. It looks invisible until suddenly, it becomes undeniable. And here's the irony. When you're consistent, you gain the very freedom that comfort promised, but never delivered. Think about it. When you're consistent with your finances, you gain the freedom to live without debt, to invest, to provide, to breathe easy. When you're consistent with your health, you gain the freedom to move with energy, to feel strong, to live without the limits of illness. When you're consistent with your mindset, you gain the freedom to face challenges without breaking, to push through fear, to rise above negativity. Consistency may feel hard now, but it creates a life that's easier later. Comfort feels easy now, but it creates a life that's harder later. So the question is, which pain are you willing to choose? The pain of discipline or the pain of regret? Because either way, there's a cost. If you choose consistency, yes, you'll sacrifice comfort in the short term. You'll wake up earlier, work longer, push harder. Repeat the process when no one's cheering for you. But if you choose comfort, you'll pay with regret later. You'll look back and realize you traded away your freedom for fleeting moments of ease. And that regret, that's a prison far worse than any discipline could ever feel like. Let me tell you something powerful. Freedom isn't given to you, it's earned. Every rep, every practice, every decision stacked on top of another builds that freedom. And once you've built it, no one can take it away from you. Because it's not luck, it's not chance, it's who you've become. Consistency transforms you into a person who doesn't just hope for freedom, but lives it every single day. And I know right now, some of you are thinking, but I've tried before. I've failed before. I've started and stopped too many times. Listen, failure doesn't disqualify you from freedom. In fact, failure is part of the consistency process. The only difference between those who succeed and those who quit is that the successful kept showing up. They didn't stop because it got hard. They didn't stop because they stumbled. They kept coming back again and again until consistency became second nature. So don't fool yourself into believing freedom is about escape. Freedom is not escaping responsibility, not escaping discipline, not escaping effort. Freedom is embracing those things so fully and so consistently that you break free from the things that used to hold you back. That's the paradox. Freedom is not found in running from hard things. It's found in choosing them daily until they no longer control you. When you understand this, your whole life changes. You stop chasing shortcuts. You stop envying other people's results. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You realize that the key has been in your hands the whole time. The key is consistency. Freedom belongs to the disciplined. Consistency is freedom. Let me ask you something. How many battles have you already fought in your mind before the day even started? Think about that. Before you even step outside, before you even face the world, you've already had to wrestle with the voice that says, stay in bed. Skip the workout. Don't make that call. You're not ready. You're not enough. And here's the truth. Most people lose those battles before they even begin. Not because they're weak. Not because they're incapable. Incapable because they've never trained their minds through discipline. Discipline is not just about controlling your schedule or sticking to routines. It's about training your mind to become stronger than your excuses. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you are building mental muscle. You're telling yourself, I run this. I'm in control. My feelings don't decide for me. That is how you break limitations. Not by waiting for life to get easier, but by training your mind to get stronger. The world will always throw challenges at you. Life will never run out of obstacles, but the real fight is not out there, it's in here. In your head. Because the moment your mind gives up, your body follows, your decisions follow, your future follows. That's why discipline is so powerful. It builds resilience in your mind. It's like armor that shields you from weakness. And once you have that armor, you stop being at the mercy of fear, doubt, or temptation. Imagine two people facing the exact same setback. One sees it as the end, the other sees it as a test. What's the difference? Discipline. The disciplined mind doesn't crumble under pressure. It says, this is hard, But I've been here before. I know how to keep moving. That's the strength you earn when you choose discipline over distraction, when you choose to push past your comfort zone again and again. You become unshakable. And let's be real, it's not about being fearless. Fear never goes away. Doubt never fully disappears. The difference is, with discipline, you learn to act in spite of them. You hear that voice that says you can't, but you take the step anyway. You feel the weight of resistance, but you show up anyway. And each time you do that, you break through another layer of limitation that used to define you. The person who was once afraid of failing becomes the person who doesn't care about failure because they know they'll rise every single time. That's what discipline does. It doesn't just change your results, it changes your identity. The mind loves comfort. It loves familiarity. It will always try to pull you back into old patterns because that feels safe. But discipline challenges that. Discipline says, I'm not here to repeat the past. I'm here to create a future. And when you live with that mindset, you stop settling. You stop accepting average. You stop giving yourself permission to quit. Suddenly, what used to look impossible starts becoming possible. Because your mind no longer breaks at the first sign of resistance. Think about people who achieve greatness. They don't get there because the path was smooth. They get there because their minds became stronger than the obstacles. They learned to say, this hurts, but I'll keep going. This is scary, but I'll take the risk. This is uncomfortable, but I won't back down. And each time they made that choice, their limits expanded. What was once their breaking point became their new baseline. That's the beauty of discipline. It constantly moves the ceiling higher. And here's the catch, nobody else can do this for you. People can motivate you. They can cheer for you. They can even guide you. But they cannot build your discipline. That's your responsibility. The mental strength you gain is forged in those moments. When no one is watching, when no one is clapping, when it's just you against yourself. That's where character is built. That's where limits are destroyed. So, ask yourself, how many times has your mind talked you out of your own greatness? How many times have you given up? Not because you couldn't do it, but because you convinced yourself you couldn't. That's the war discipline is designed to win. It's not about silencing the voice of doubt. It's about refusing to let it control you. Every time you practice discipline, you prove to yourself that you're stronger than you thought. You start stacking evidence that says, I can handle this. I can rise from this. I can push through this. And little by little, that evidence rewrites your identity. You stop seeing yourself as someone who gives in and start seeing yourself as someone who breaks through. That shift, that inner transformation, is worth more than any reward on the outside. Because once your mind is strong, nothing on the outside can break you. And here's the secret: life doesn't get easier. You get stronger. The weights never get lighter, but your capacity to lift them increases. The challenges never disappear, but your ability to face them expands. The fears never vanish, but your courage grows. That's what discipline does. It trains your mind to meet life head on without backing down. So when you think about breaking limitations, understand this: the wall in front of you is not the real problem. The real problem is the wall you've built in your mind. And the moment you choose discipline, you start tearing that wall down, brick by brick. Eventually, what once felt impossible becomes just another step on your journey. Discipline is the strength that frees you from your limitations. Let me stop you for a second and ask you a simple question. How many times have you chosen what feels good right now, only to regret it later? Think about it. That extra hour of sleep instead of working on your goals. That junk food instead of fueling your body. That night of scrolling instead of building your vision. In the moment, it feels good. It feels easy. It feels like freedom. But the truth is, that kind of pleasure doesn't last. It fades. And when it's gone, it leaves behind something heavier. Regret, disappointment, frustration. Discipline, on the other hand, doesn't always feel good in the moment, but it delivers something far more powerful. Fulfillment. And fulfillment lasts. This is where most people get trapped. They chase the quick hit of pleasure because it's immediate. Comfort is always available. It whispers, take the easy way. Don't push yourself. You deserve a break. But what it doesn't tell you is that every time you give in, you're sacrificing your future for a moment of relief. Discipline, though. Discipline demands sacrifice now, but it rewards you later with a life you're proud of. It builds a foundation that doesn't disappear when the feeling fades. The truth is, pleasure is cheap. It's easy to get, and it's everywhere. That's why it never satisfies you for long. But fulfillment, real fulfillment, is earned. It comes from knowing you did what you said you'd do, from showing up for yourself when no one else would, from pushing through even when it was uncomfortable. That feeling doesn't fade. It stays with you. It strengthens you. And it reminds you who you are. Let's be honest. There's nothing exciting about discipline in the moment. Waking up early isn't glamorous. Sticking to your commitments when everyone else is out, having fun doesn't feel like joy at first. Saying no to temptation feels like punishment. But the reward is different. Because when you look back, you don't remember the pain of the early mornings, the late nights, or the sacrifices. You remember the pride. You remember the growth. You remember the freedom that came because you chose discipline over temporary comfort. We live in a culture that worships instant gratification. Everyone wants results, and they want them now. Lose weight in a week, get rich overnight. Become successful without putting in the years of effort. But you and I both know that's not real. Anything worth having takes time. And in that time, you're going to be tested. The question isn't whether it will be hard. The question is, will you be disciplined enough to stay the course when it is? Because those who quit don't quit because they lacked potential. They quit because they chose short-term pleasure over long-term fulfillment. And here's something powerful. Fulfillment doesn't just come from achieving the goal. It comes from the process. It comes from the grind, the discipline, the consistency you show day after day. Because every time you choose discipline, you are proving to yourself that you can be trusted. That trust builds confidence. That confidence builds identity. And suddenly, it's not just about the outcome. It's about the person you've become along the way. Now, I want you to think about your life 5 years from now. Picture two versions of yourself. One version chose comfort, always took the easy way, avoided the hard work, let emotions make the decisions. That version is still stuck in the same patterns, maybe even worse, still frustrated, still searching for meaning. The other version chose discipline. They pushed through the discomfort. They stayed consistent. They sacrificed when it was necessary. That version is free, confident, fulfilled, and proud. The only difference between those two futures is the choices you make daily. And those choices come down to discipline versus comfort. Fulfillment is freedom. When you're fulfilled, you're not chasing empty highs. You don't need approval from others. You don't feel like something's missing because you know you gave everything you had. That kind of freedom only comes from discipline. Without it, you'll always be chasing, always restless, always unsatisfied. With it, you find peace, not because life is easy, but because you know you're living true to yourself. And I know what some of you might be thinking, but I don't want to miss out on life. I want to enjoy myself. Here's the paradox. Discipline doesn't take away joy, it amplifies it. Because when you've earned your success, when you've built your freedom, when you've created a life on your terms, the joy you feel is deeper, richer, more lasting than anything comfort could ever give you. The party feels better when you know you've earned the right to celebrate. The rest feels sweeter when you know you've worked for it. The victories taste greater when you know the struggle it took to achieve them. Pleasure will lie to you. It will tell you, this is happiness. But it never lasts. Fulfillment never lies. It says, this is who you've become, and this is the life you've built. One is fleeting. The other is forever. So when the moment comes, and it will come, when you're faced with the choice between comfort and discipline, remember this: comfort feels good now, but it leaves you empty later. Discipline feels hard now, but it leaves you fulfilled forever. Discipline is fulfillment,